Hey folks, it's Nate. Thanks for joining me once again as we look to the horizon. And I'm back bringing you the weekly writing vlog. And this week, things are cooking apace. I have probably one and a half, let's say. One and a half of the essays that I want to get written for my latest round of essays done. And they will start going up in a couple of weeks. If you're not familiar with the general blogging format, I typically, when I finish a fiction project, which I did last Saturday, I will post an afterwards, which I have written. Then I'll take a week off, and I will then go into a series of essays on the general art and craft of writing. And I have a number of things that I'm interested to talk about coming up here. And some of them are broad concepts, very broad concepts, about how we consider philosophy and ideas and beliefs when we're writing a story. I've noticed that the way, especially here in America, the way we talk about what people believe and how it affects their decisions in a story is extremely shallow. And I'm going to run 2, maybe 3 essays on that subject, looking at it from a couple of different angles, why I think it is, and what I think can be done about it. Basically, it boils down to you just have to take them seriously. You have to believe people believe what they say they believe. And, you know, that sounds very simplistic, but I've noticed that especially with as much as we have tried to quantify and not philosophize, scientize human belief and behavior, we've really lost sight of the fact that the things people believe are not really extensions of their circumstances or their material conditions. Rather, they are probably what leads to their circumstances or material positions. And I think that it's very simple and straightforward to say that, but I think showing why that's important for storytelling is something that I need to do, just because so few people think about human behavior that way anymore. Everyone acts like, you know, human behavior is this thing where you can set parameters and run some math and you'll get predetermined outputs. And it's not like that. Those beliefs, they are pretty fundamental to understanding people and what makes them tick. And you can't just change a few numbers around boxes and get completely different people. And that's why I'm writing this series. I think one of the reasons we have such shallow storytelling in the modern day is because we do have that mistaken belief. We do think people are widgets that can be programmed with the right sets of software and always give predictable outcomes. And that's just not true. It's not true at the individual level. It's not true at the societal level. So, that is something I really want to talk about. I want to dig into and examine how you set aside that mindset and dig deeper into what makes stories really interesting, which is examining how people and circumstances interact. And if you throw belief out of that interaction, you just throw probably 80% of the depth of interactions out with it. So that's something I'm interested in looking at. I'm also going to be writing a little bit about genres, how we talk about stories. You know, very meta stuff. We're really into that here. At least I am. I like being meta every so often. I've had some interesting discussions about it just recently. And I intend to write 1, maybe 2 essays on that. More about how we think about story in the way we talk about it. Because I think there is a real tendency to try and make, you know, very, very jargonish terms for storytelling, when I don't think it's entirely necessary. You know, the Greeks had their 3 unities and their tragedy comedy breakdown, and they were very broad categories that covered a huge amount of stuff, but nevertheless served pretty well. And I think that that's probably the better way to go about talking about stories rather than, you know, extremely high resolution, detailed, you know, labels and tools for stories. I understand what drives people to have those high resolution looks at a kind of story, but I don't think they're necessarily the best way to talk about it. Just, and I'll talk more about why, I guess. But it is something I've been thinking about a lot recently. And by the same token, something else I want to address is how creators describe themselves. There is a real tendency to think about the stories you write in marketing speak these days. You know, how am I going to sell this? It's X meets Y, and I think there's utility to that, just as there is a utility to broad genres of storytelling or narrow genres of storytelling. But I think when we talk about the stories that we are creating from scratch in that way, we are, kind of baking certain blind spots into the way we tell stories. But again, I'll unpack that more as I write that essay. It is just something I'm really interested in talking about, and I don't have specifically for the genre talk and the story description thing for the stuff you're making. I don't know as my thoughts are 100% coalesced yet. One of the reasons I write some of these essays is to help me sort out the ideas that are percolating, and try and support them from my own experiences or other things I've read, and see what really holds up under scrutiny and what does not. So yeah, this is always an interesting process. As you try to say something and you go out and you research and you learn, the researching and the learning can be just as informative as the sorting it all out and communicating it to others. So all in all, I'm looking forward to this set of essays. I think I have a lot of fun stuff coming, and hopefully it will be interesting to you. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. There's a like button and a subscribe button down there. You can use those as you see fit, and I'll talk to you later.